Millwall 1, Pompey 3. Worth saying again, Millwall 1, Millwall, who reckon they might be in the Premier League next season, 1. Pompey, who some people think might go down, 3. And it was 1-3 as well. There was nothing fluky about it at all from what I can glean, what I can perceive after the game. Because as happens with every football fan, hopefully just sort of once in a blue moon, I had to miss everything about the game. I couldn't even keep up following texts. I certainly couldn't follow it using audio. I was away from home, so I just had no means of knowing what was going on. Twice, I think, during the game, I checked my phone and I saw, first of all, that we were suddenly, well, it was 0-0, and then suddenly we were 2-0 up. You've done this. You've been there. You're not at the game. You're not watching the game. You're not listening to the game. You're not keeping up with anything that's going on in the game. But I checked in again after about an hour, so that would have been, what would that have been? 4 o'clock, something like that, 4:15. And we were 2-0 up. And I checked the goal scorers and I thought, oh, terrific. CABALLERO is starting to make his mark. And SWIFTY's got one. I thought, oh, God, that's good as well because he's really growing into his game, isn't he? I thought that's going to do him the power of good. And then, because of what was going on, I couldn't find out anything until about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour after the game when I checked my phone again. BBC Sport, Football, Championship, scores and fixtures. We won 3-1. It's now Sunday morning and I'm just about getting myself together again. I will tell you what happened because it's an indication of the fact that life is more important than football. And it doesn't matter what Bill Shankly says. Do you remember that Bill Shankly quote? He said, there are people who think that football is more important than life and death. It isn't. Football is more important than life and death. I don't know, can't remember. I'm addled because yesterday was a difficult day. We've been looking after a toddler whose parents are away at the minute. They can't help it. They've got to be away. But the toddler is recovering from chicken pox. And yesterday, in the wee small hours of the morning, developed a viral infection, was struggling to breathe, was very feverish, very unhappy, crying a lot. And so we had to phone, whatever it is, 111 and liaise with a qualified nurse. And we formed a plan, which was to take her, when it opened, to the urgent treatment centre at a local hospital. And they would decide whether to refer her to accident and emergency or the children's ward or whatever. So we did that 10 o'clock in the morning. And obviously I had my phone with me because your phone goes everywhere. But I knew then that I wasn't going to be able to have any kind of personal interaction with this game, this match, Millwall versus Pompey. And I'm sure you've been there. You just resign yourself to it. Some things are more important than football. But the good news, of course, the great news, even greater than Millwall 1, Pompey 3, by a distance, they're not in the same county, is that the toddler is now fine. Ended up in A&E, ended up having all the examinations, ended up being there all day because they didn't want to send the child home with us in case there was any danger at all. But that happened, and we got home about half an hour after the final whistle. And there were so many other things to do that I've only just got round to appraising the game. And you know far more about it than I do. Because at the very least, surely you will have listened on the BBC. Maybe you don't. There is a member of the Musino family who I know very well who can't bring himself, if he's not there, he can't bring himself to keep up with what's going on because he finds the wonderful stress levels too much. So he finds out afterwards what the score was. I don't have that kind of self-restraint. Good Pompey fan, good listener. I doubt whether many have. But I've started to get back into the game, and then I came into the Pompey Sound studio this morning to sort out Pompey Sound output and get some news and some information and some reaction and some words from John Messina and things like that you do. And the studio had imploded. It had gone. The studio, almost in sympathy with the post chickenpox viral outbreak that the toddler dealt with. The studio was having a viral outbreak, so I had to get a screwdriver out and lie on my back underneath it with a torch in my mouth, which is what you do because we haven't got one of those head light things that look very good. I must get one of those. And I unscrewed everything, and it was a hardware job, and I replaced the part, and here we are back up and running. But let's go to the game, shall we? And as I say, you know more about it than I do, but I have looked at the 2 minutes of highlights that are available on YouTube. And my first point that occurred to me when I was in the hospital, Caballero has hit the ground running. And we absolutely love that. His goal was brilliantly taken. He was just too quick for the defender, their number 6. He was running with the ball, Caballero, but he left the number 6. So we know he's quick. I think we suspected that. John Messina has said so. Quick is very important if you're playing out wide. He outsprinted the guy, carrying the ball. Not only that, he looked stronger than their number 6. And it's very rare for somebody playing as a winger to be stronger than a covering centre-backs. Covering centre-backs, these days especially, gone are the days of Billy Wright and Bobby Moore and people you probably barely heard of who were 5'8". They're all strapping. But this fellow was not dwarfed by Caballero, but he almost held off a physical challenge on Caballero for fear of being brushed aside. We love that. We love that. And Caballero had a decent shot. His first time shot was decent. It was parried away by the keeper. He'll wish he'd put it round for a corner, but it came at him so fast he didn't really have time to react. He just put out a hand or two. And then it fell to Caballero again, really tight angle, and he did not muck about. He didn't take another touch. He just whacked it into the net. High and hard and fast. And off he went. I always think to myself, I'd love to be these guys who arrive at a club with a vocal, passionate fan base like Pompey. We're not alone, but we are up there with the very best worldwide. And you score a goal. Somebody told me, I read somewhere that there were 3,000 travelling fans there, and he scored it right in front of them. And he just became one of them. He became one of the travelling faithful and must have felt $10 million. You know, they say you feel $1 million. He must have felt $100 million. So Pompey won. Well, Millwall 0, Pompey won. And then we started to, hey, wait for this, I've been waiting to say this for so long. We started to dominate the set pieces. We dominated the set pieces. We were absolutely potent, really, almost poisonous with our corners. And we got one. And didn't SWIFTY take it well? It's not easy threading the ball through a forest of legs and bodies, but I got the impression that's exactly what he did. The ball was pulled back to him beautifully by Ali, who now has that pullback off. I think Josh Murphy's going to have to work on his pullback because Ali's got it, the penalty spot. It's a standard thing in football, especially at the highest level. You pull it back rather than put it across the face of goal. We've got a couple now from that technique, and it worked perfectly well. Perfectly well. It was 2-0, and it was SWIFTY. And he's growing into his role at the number 10. He's got that number 10 role. Goodness knows what's going to happen when Connor Chaplin is 100%. But at the moment, I would say, wouldn't you? SWIFTY's got first dibs on the number 10 shirt role. So that was it. Half-time, 2-0? Yeah, I think. And then they pulled one back going the other way. Turn round. And they pulled one back. Could we have stopped it? It was a shot that might have been blocked. Again, it threaded through a bunch of players and curved in exactly the right way, so that I would think it's fair to say that Schmidt had no chance with it. He didn't seem particularly aggrieved, but again, I'm only watching highlights, that the shot had been got off, but it was got off, and it made the score 1-2. So it could have been a nervy last 20 minutes of the game, but up steps Marlon Pack. Marlon Pack. And this is where our set-piece dominance produced results. A perfect corner. The ball was not quite dealt with by them, and we couldn't make anything of it, a goal-scoring opportunity, but it fell to Marlon, and he found the back of the net. It's a good strike, solid strike. The ball was on an upward trajectory when it hit the back of the net. That means it was travelling. It was a no-nonsense goal from a no-nonsense player. And there was something no-nonsense about his celebrations as well. He doesn't score so many goals. I'm not sure how many career goals he's got at the top level. I must look it up. Plenty. Well, I say plenty. A good few. He's scored for us since he's come back. Can't remember how many exactly. A wee handful. But this one, he scored, and again, he turned and he acknowledged the joy of the fans with that. I don't know if it's his trademark goal celebration, which is to run away with one hand in the air, like Alan Shearer used to. If you go back that far, he had this pathetic goal celebration with one hand limply up in the air, the elbow bent, and he ran away with a confident grin on his face. And Packy did exactly the same thing. And Packy, I'm sorry, I don't know what his nickname is. I doubt it's Packy. But 3-1. We did it. We won. We saw them off. A team that I think have been unbeaten in 8 of their last 9 or something like that. A team that I think the fans and maybe the players and the staff, the coaching staff, were expecting a win. And we were hoping, as we often say, to get something. And that's how it should be when you've got almost an entire division between you and the opposition. They're right up there and we're still kind of right down there. You do, if you're the team that's up the top, you do expect to get 3 points. You've got to work for it. Nothing comes, 2 for the price of 1 in the championship. You've got to roll up your sleeves and go for it and get it. Earn it. Make it happen. And this is the second game in a row where we've made the other team look weak, look ponderous, look as though they didn't fancy the 50-50s. There's a big thing in this. Is this Adams who's doing this? Adams and Pack together. You just absolute Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Wyatt Earp and the other one, not Bat Masterson. You know that one I'm talking about. The gunfight, the OK Corral. Those 2 lawmen go up against 4 outlaws, and the lawmen just blow them away. They are that potent. We've talked about it elsewhere on Pompey Sound. They've got menace and they've got meat. And the opposition don't really want to go 50-50 up against them. I know I wouldn't in a million years, would you? So we're dominating teams like that. And what that does is it puts the whole of their midfield on the back foot. They're thinking, we're going to get suckered if we go 50-50 on this. We're going to end up on the deck and they're going to end up lioning it or going away with the ball. And that it doesn't look good to the fans, to our partners in the stands. It doesn't look good. I don't want that to happen to me. I'll let somebody else go in for it. And we want that, and we've got that. And let's hope we can keep it. Marlon Pack now has played 2 full games. He wasn't subbed off, was he? No. He's played 2 full games in whatever it is, 4 days. And we've got another game coming up. Today is Sunday. I think we've got another game coming up in a few days. And then another game at the following weekend. Has Marlon Pack got it in him? Again, as we said after the last game, lots of cold baths and lots of hot baths and lots of warming down. But fingers crossed we can keep those 2 together, particularly when we most need them, in games that we most need them. What a number 1 midfield we have going there. And good news, I gather this morning from Andre Dazelle, that his injury is not as bad as was at first feared, and that he might be available himself soon for selection. So we move up to, is it 16th? I only caught a fleeting glimpse of the table yesterday in between various duties at the hospital. I think we've moved up to 16th, or we were at 16th at one point during the game. And we've got a decent enough cushion with a game in hand. I think it's 6 points over Leicester, who are 3rd to bottom, and a game in hand. And just referring to something that we talked about during the week on Pompey Sound, I can't see that there's a cat in hell's chance that the commission that has been asked to listen to appeals, to change the decision to forfeit Leicester 6 points for financial irregularities, are going to overturn that decision. Nor does it seem likely to me that they will listen to the appeal or grant the appeal of the Premier League to extend that fine to 12 points forfeited. So I'm pretty certain, especially since the result of the appeal is unlikely to be known until the end of the season, I can't think that they'll wait until the end of the season and change that. Because to have this sort of post-season's end change to the way the table looks as a result of the involvement of legal authorities, it would be wrong. It would feel wrong. Everybody would say you don't do it that way round. People are playing games towards the end of the season and they don't know how many points they need in order to stay up or go up. So I can't think that's going to happen. So Leicester are the ones at the moment that we have to stay ahead of. I think we've got 6 points on them and we've got that game in hand. And they cannot buy a goal at the moment, Leicester. They've lost the last 4 in a row. They are obviously, the phrase I want to use is down in the dumps, but it must be 10 times worse than that. So, all in all, all's well that ends well. My day at the hospital with the family ended well. And Pompey's day, the faithful's day out with their family, the rest of the Pompey faithful, and the rest of us at home or wherever we kept up with what was going on at Millwall, it ended well. Millwall 1, Pompey 3.